first night, Alex learned that the wall behind the motel bed could breathe. Not with air, not with wind, but with words, pulling and pushing as if the wallpaper were a lung. He lay rigid on the thin mattress of room 6, hands flat against the sheets as the whispering slipped out from the plaster like steam. At exactly 2:14 a.m., the sound sharpened and spoke. "Don't stay past the third night, they'll take you too." He threw the bedside lamp on. A cone of nicotine yellow light revealed the dented nightstand, the crooked painting of a lighthouse, the visitor's Bible fat with moisture. No one stood in the room, yet breath tickled his ear. He pressed his head to the wall. The noise died. He pulled back. The whispering returned. A woman's voice, brittle as cracked glass. A second voice underneath, low and wet, shaping syllables that weren't English. Alex checked the hallway. Silence, linoleum, soda machine humming like a throat about to clear. The front desk bell wore a small rusted scab, as if someone had pressed a bloody thumb to it. "Any other guests?" he asked the clerk. The man smiled too late. "We don't rent those rooms." "What rooms?" "The ones that never check out." He returned to the bed and tried to record the voices on his phone. Only hiss. He tried again. The waveform showed a flat line, but his name rode the air anyway, stitching itself through the static. "Alex." A slow, sweet drawl. "Lie down." The wet voice beneath. Something like, "Closer." The wall cooled his shoulder. Through the plaster came a child's giggle, small as the click of a lock. He slept with the light on because the light felt like a witness. At dawn, he found a message on the room registry card. The square where his checkout date should be was blank, but a pencil mark circled his name 3 times. Underneath, someone had added in tiny letters, "Final notice, first night." When he rubbed it, the graphite smeared and left his fingertips gray, like ash that refuses to leave the skin. He told himself he would leave in the morning, drive until the white sun bleached the night clean. But the road had been closed for construction, and the detour sign pointed him back to the same gravel lot, the same peeling door with the same brass 6. By noon, the voices had gone quiet, and the quiet felt like bait. He kept the television on mute, just to watch faces move without sound, and taped a napkin over the peephole because it seemed to pulse, like it was breathing too. The second night taught him the grammar of the whispers. Alone, they muttered. Together, they braided. A woman's voice led, syllables clipped, urgent, always arriving from somewhere behind his left shoulder. Then the low, wet whisper followed, rounding the vowels, thickening the consonants until each word felt like a mouthful he was forced to swallow. Beneath them, at the very floorboards, a child's breath counted. 1, 2, 3, then giggled on the 4th. When he put his ear to the wall, everything vanished. When he stepped away, the voices swelled. A chorus trapped one stud width behind him. He mapped the room by sound. The closet sighed, the tiny bathroom wept, the headboard shivered like a lid rattling on a pot. At 1:37 a.m., the air sweetened with the scent of hotel soap and old pennies. He tasted copper and the blue heat of ozone. His phone, face down, flashlight on, buzzed as if something invisible texted it. He tried logic. Voices require mouths, mouths require bodies, bodies require space. There was no space. Room 7 was supposed to be empty. He had looked through the window at the dust and the rectangle where a bed once stood. The clerk, when pressed, only shrugged. Sometimes there are guests we can't bill. When Alex asked what happened to them, the clerk's eyes glazed, as if the answer were printed across the ceiling. They become house accounts. At 2:14 a.m., perfect, cruel symmetry. The wall breathed in, the room exhaled. The woman said, "Don't stay past the third night." The low voice answered, "He will." The child whispered, "Say please." The lamp flickered, not off on but off on, a double blink like an animal deciding whether to pounce. He saw his reflection in the turned-off television screen and watched it nod half a beat late. The mouth in the glass shaped his name, while his own lips stayed shut. He stuffed a towel along the baseboard. He dragged the dresser against the wall. He turned the mattress so the headboard faced the door. The room shifted to accommodate these humiliations. Every fix became a hinge. The whispers traveled anyway, slipping along picture wire, crawling the groove where wall met ceiling. By 4 a.m., language unraveled and assembled into other shapes. Scratching, tapping, the rubbery squeak of skin against paint. He lay down without choosing to, already positioned, already listening for the fourth count, praying the voice would forget his name and choose someone else. The third day refused to pass. Sunlight pinned the lot. Flies orbited the soda machine. Alex tried to check out, but the lobby door stuck to its frame as if the building had swallowed the hinge pins. When it finally opened, the clerk was not at the front desk. A paper placard read, "Be right back," the words printed twice, crossed out, then traced so hard the cardstock had torn. He found the registry book open to the current month. Names filled the lines in a frantic hand. Grace, Manuel, Dee, Blue, Carla, John, Mina, and 30 more beneath, each met by a savage diagonal stroke that carved a groove through paper into wood. His own name sat at the bottom, unnervingly neat. In the checkout column, a blank square, bordered 3 times, the pencil dragging into a bruised dark ring. Beside it, tiny letters, Room 6, Final Night. "Sir," he called. The back office door nudged wider. A coat tree shape behind it breathed. "Can I change rooms?" The shadow said nothing, but the fluorescent lights gave a soft electronic chirp, the sound a cashier makes when a price won't scan. He scrawled "leaving today" and slid it under the bell. The bell did not ring when he pressed it. It thudded, like a button in a dream. He packed in a fury, zipping bags, coiling cords. Outside, the highway sign flashed "road closed" in amber blocks. A detour arrow leered him back toward the gravel lot. He drove circles until dusk, and every loop still ended at the peeling door with the brass 6, the mustard curtain breathing in the draft. At dusk, the first knock came from inside the wall, 3 gentle taps, spaced like a polite request. He froze, fingers still hooked through the duffel handle. 3 more taps, higher now, exactly where a head would be if someone lay in the next room and reached up. His bones decided before his brain did. He answered, 3 knuckles to plaster. The wall answered back. At 8:03 p.m., he realized he had been taught. He fled to the lot, staring at the second-floor rail, half expecting a face to peer down and nod in time with the knocks. Nothing. Only moths skittered around the neon vacancy sign. Somewhere, a dog barked. Somewhere else, the same dog barked half a beat later. He went back in because there was nowhere else to go. The room smelled faintly of thunder. He sat on the bed and put both hands on his knees like a child practicing to be brave. When the second knock came, it was from the ceiling. When the third arrived, it came from directly under the mattress. 3 hollow thuds like a hand trapped inside the springs. That night, the room began to perspire. Not water. Something thicker. It started as a slick bead along the seam where ceiling met wall, then fattened, darkened, and split. A red thread worked across the paint like a worm surfacing after rain. Alex stood on the bed with a towel. It blushed. Another bead fell. By the time he climbed down, a slow arterial drip had found its rhythm. The whispering did not grow louder. It grew closer. Words arrived without distance, landing in his inner ear. The woman spoke beside him. Breath gathered the tiny hairs along his neck. "Third night," she said, almost tender. "Don't stay," the low, wet voice followed. "Stay." The child counted 1, 2, 3. This time there was no giggle on the 4th. He dialed 911. The call failed with a polite chime. He opened the door. The hallway was longer. The carpet was damp. The exit sign pointed at a wall. When he returned, it faced the other way. In room 6, the drip thickened into a thready rain. He dragged the mattress away from the bleeding seam, and faced it toward the television. On the dead screen, his reflection sat inches to the right, eyes closed. The delay made him nauseous, like standing inside a film of himself. The reflection lifted its hand before he did and pressed its palm to the glass. The print bloomed foggy white, then red. At 2:14 a.m. the chorus aligned. The wall inhaled, the room stiffened. The woman said very clearly, "You must leave." The child whispered, "Please." The low voice said nothing. Instead, it exhaled warm and damp across the back of his neck. It felt like a person leaning close enough to taste his hair. Alex bolted for the door. The chain latch he had never used lay across the jamb, hooked. He didn't remember setting it. He ripped it free. The screws leapt. He reached the lot in a single breath. The night smelled of sage. His car alarm chirped twice, then kept chirping in an endless loop. He pulled the handle. The door opened to the motel room, the bed wrong, the towel red, his body framed in the TV as if he had never moved. The only proof he had gone outside was the grit under his bare feet. Something tapped behind the bathroom mirror, once, twice, thrice. He pressed his ear to the glass. Inside the silver, a mouth shaped the word "mine." The mirror fogged inside. A small print appeared in the condensation, a child's hand waiting for his to match it. He did not. The hand withdrew. The dripping slowed, preparing for dawn. At dawn, the room presented its innocence. The bleeding seam dried to a brown seam that might have been tobacco smoke. The towel looked like any towel that had survived a bad nosebleed. On TV, two anchors smiled at a story about a sinkhole. The clerk waited at the desk. "Checking out," Alex said. The clerk slid the registry toward him without making eye contact. A pencil waited. Yesterday's names were carved through. Beneath Alex's, in a tight hand, "Stay extended." House. He pushed the book back. "No," the clerk turned to the key cupboard. The hook for 6 was empty. It had always been empty. "Please," Alex said. He pleaded to the building. The fluorescent tubes hummed with a tired brightness. Somewhere a door side closed. Ice stirred in the back office. 3 nights, the clerk murmured, almost fond. "That's what they prefer." He said the walls like a voice best by then. Alex went outside to leave anyway, because leaving is a muscle that withers. The road was open now, orange cones stacked like candles. He put his bag in the trunk. The chirp happened once, then silenced. He slid behind the wheel. In the rear view, a key hung from the ignition, brass 6, gently swinging. The car's open door framed the breathing curtain. He removed the key and the world bristled. The lot emptied of birds. Across the street, the diner filled. The ramp became a stream. He replaced the key. The world steadied. By his ear the child said, "Please." The woman said, "Don't stay past," and choked. The low voice finished for her with a sigh that smelled like pennies. 3rd night. The registry's last page holds Alex's name. The violent diagonal stroke is there too, though no one remembers making it. The hook for 6 is still empty. A hook never needs a key. When new travelers stagger in, the walls cross their voices out and file the sound for later. If you press your ear to the wall in room 6, nothing happens at first. If you back away until your shoulder blades touch the air, they might say your name. Not loudly. Gently. With the attention of a house that hates to lose a guest. Then they show you how to stay.